Alaikum, the distinguished chair of the podium and other relevant scholars, my friends, brothers and sisters. We are all, the title of our paper is Interpreting Art from the Quran. As we all know, Allah Himself has asked us to address Him with the beautiful things, and also Allah Himself has given us the names that we need to address Him with. So one of those beautiful names is Al-Musawwir. Al-Musawwir, as we all interpret, is the fashioner or the designer. So who best we need more to interpret art from, or to learn designing and fashioning and art from? So that's my interpretation, and I'll wait for the video. And as we all know, Islam is premised on two sources, the Quran and the Sunnah. And so we need to gain every knowledge from Quran and the Sunnah, and hence now we see how artistically our Creator has rendered the various world systems and natural systems from the Quran. Now, the Quranic phenomena, as I have read as a study of my thesis, was most beautifully rendered by Malik bin Nabi in his book, The Quranic Phenomena. And in that book, he brought out the wonderful style. The wonderful style that our Creator has used in the Quran is a self-referencing style. We would not find in any book in this whole world where a book is telling about itself in the book that this is the book wherein you have everything, wherein you have a misal of every kind, wherein you have knowledge of everything. The book is a self-referencing book. And this unique style is not found on any book on this earth, nor will we find on this earth. This is the unique self-referencing style used by none but our Creator. And this is how He started. The style and the patterns are from here buried in the Quran. And now there's another phenomena also. That's the style of revealing it to an illiterate. Allah Ta'ala has deliberately chosen to reveal the Quran, the highest composition in literacy or in history or in medicine, or we ask it and we find it in the Quran. We have a reference of every field, body of knowledge in the Quran, but still it has been revealed to an illiterate. That is a style deliberately chosen by our Creator. And again, He has proven that the highest form of art in His revelation also. Now, as we all know, the main message of the Quran is oneness of Allah, or Tawheed. We are very conversant with this. But when we talk about Tawheed, it's about the unity of knowledge. The unity, when we say unity here, we mean that absolute unity, which is most irreducible. That is the unity and the self-sustaining unity that we are talking about. And when we say that, when we call Allah Ta'ala as, when we believe in the oneness of Allah, we also implicitly believe that all knowledge, and He is the source of all knowledge. And the evidence of that is the book itself touches every other body of knowledge. That's the main evidence telling us about the unity of knowledge which is prevalent with the unity that is oneness of Allah. Now we look at various patterns of expression that Allah Ta'ala has used in the Quran. A few of the expressions I would like to share with you all. Now coming to the literary composition of the Quran, just a few words on that is, what we observe is that towards the end of the Quran, mostly we find most of the verses starting with wow. Wow ikasmi, they say. The wow with which Allah Ta'ala has chosen to take an oath by. And with this, when the verses are continuously starting with wow, wal qamar, wal shams, wal duha, and when these are going on, there is a rhythm being generated. And a unique sort of a rhythm is being generated. But at the same time, there is a precaution to be taken. As we think that there is a rhythm and Allah Ta'ala, there is a caution from the verses itself. Don't take this as poetry. And also, don't take the reciter who brought this to you as a poet. These are the unique and beautiful and fabulous things that Allah Ta'ala, the Musawwir, the creator, the artist, is revealing us through His book, the Quran. Now, one of the beautiful ayahs is from An-Nur, which most of us are conversant with, and thus in chapter 24, Nur, Allah Ta'ala in ayat number 35, He calls Himself as the light. And the light has been described in a very distinguished manner. Wherein He says that it's been lighted with olive oil. The olive oil which is not with the fire, the light which is lit by no fire. The light which is lit with no fire. This is how Allah Ta'ala is describing in the whole ayat number 35, calling Himself as a Nur. So these are the beautiful expressions, few of the beautiful expressions, and this is one of those that I chose to portray here. And when Al-Musawwir, our creator who called himself as the fashioner and the designer, the best form of design, he showed it in the human body. He called it the best of the fashioner. He told that what is deluding you, O mankind, away from your Lord, who has designed and shaped you in such wonderful shapes. We cannot think ourselves in any other shape other than what we are in. That's enough of the artistry of Allah Ta'ala, the wonderful engineering that runs in our bodies, and the external wonderful shapes that we have. He's the designer. It's from the designer, the Musawwir, the artist named Allah Ta'ala. Now, when in one of the ayats, Allah Ta'ala describes the worldly life. The worldly life as a rain falling on land, and the land producing wonderful intermingling produce, and then the produce is suddenly vanishing, as if there was no produce the other day on the land itself. That's how Allah Ta'ala says the worldly life is. That within no time we are not here, and the people are carrying on as if we were not there at all. This is how wonderfully Allah Ta'ala is striking parables, is giving us metaphors for us in artistically manner, appealing to our intellect and drawing us towards Him. The purpose of all this giving us wonderful similitudes is only one thing, to draw His creature towards Himself. Now, me being an Islamic economist, I wouldn't do without talking about spending. But how wonderfully Allah Ta'ala has artistically and creatively and beautifully described spending as. He is inviting us, He is exhorting us, He is even cajoling us to inviting us to spend, not to save. Please remember, in more than 50 ayats in the Quran, it is mentioned about spending. Spend on this, spend on that, spend here, spend there. Spend even if you don't have, spend out of whatever you have. You need not have 1 crore rupees to spend 100 rupees. You may have just 10 rupees and spend 1 rupee. This is what Allah Ta'ala says, spend out of whatever you have. Allah Ta'ala has repeatedly told us to keep spending, and He says what wonderful things the spending can do. He says, spending the way of Allah, spend for me. And your spending is like a grain of a corn sown, and that corn coming up with a stalk having 7 ears of corn, and each year having